So, the 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days, Season 5 tell-all took place last night. And we thought Gino was a liar before. Gino lies about things that he doesn't even need to lie about. Gino is that type of guy who, as long as his lips are moving, he's lying. And Mike, yeah. I want to talk about the whole thing today. I'm not going to break this up. Let's talk about the whole part 1 of the tell-all. Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Debbie. I am the She in Sheality TV, and today I want to talk about the 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days, part 1 of the tell-all. So let's start with Gino and Jasmine. So all of these people, honestly, I gotta say right out of the gate that all of these people are deluded. There's one couple who we totally dogged the entire season. One couple who doesn't seem to have issues with delusion, which is weird because, yeah, they totally seemed like, yeah, this shit ain't gonna work. But I'll talk about them. I'm gonna talk about them last. And they did not speak really on last night's tell-all. But let's start with Gino and Jasmine. That whole, I did like a YouTube short of Jasmine saying how I'm vegan, but I want your, I can't get the whole sentence out of my mouth. I just can't. But she's talking about how she wants to have sex with Gino and Gino doesn't want to have sex with her. Gino would rather do it himself than have sex with Jasmine. And I feel like, now tell me if you all agree, I feel like Gino saw Jasmine's cuckoo side and said, yeah, I'm not risking getting that chick pregnant. I'm not risking it. Especially because, remember at the beginning of the season, he found out that she was still on birth control. And then she stopped taking birth control and now he stopped having sex with her, right? I feel like Gino's a liar and he's a dummy. But Gino knows that, you know what, if I get this chick pregnant, I'm tied to her for life, and I'm not sure I want that. Right? During the tell-all, Sean also told the group that Gino was messaging Ben's friend, the blonde chick. Can't remember her name, but Gino was messaging her, and Gino says that she reached out and said hi to him first. And we all know that's a lie because naturally Gino's lips were moving, so it's a lie. He says that she reached out and said hi to him first and he asked her if she was Italian or some business like that. And she said, yeah. And then the friend actually pulls up the text showing that, Gino reached out to her first. Who's surprised? This dude it's like he's incapable of telling the truth. When he's asked a question, his brain goes, should I lie? Let me tell a lie. And he tells a lie. Why on earth Jasmine would want to be with someone like that? Don't know. But the fact that every time they fight, she calls him a depressed old man or a depressed old man from Michigan makes me wonder, like, why do you want this guy? If he's a depressed old man from Michigan, why do you want him? And on the tell-all, she goes on and on and on about how she loves Gino and she is in love with Gino. And I'm sorry, Gino is gross. Gino is gross. In addition, Sean and Gino and Jasmine revealed, okay, I'm gonna go back for a second. Remember Jasmine went on that big rant about how she would never be a sugar baby, and if she was gonna be a sugar baby, she would be a sugar baby to the top of the sugar daddy, the best sugar daddy on earth. Guess where Gino and Jasmine met? Truth came out last night. They met on a sugar baby website, which Jasmine makes you a sugar baby, bitch. What is wrong with you people? Why is it that everybody, all they do on the show is lie? Lie. Like I said, there's only one couple that we dogged. I gotta take ownership of this. I dogged through the entire season. As a collective 90 Day Fiance community, we dogged this couple the whole season because their shit looked like a complete mess. And it turns out it's starting to look like they're the only normal couple in this whole clusterfuck. Anyways, like I said, I'll get to them later. So, Gino and Jasmine met on a sugar baby website, which would make Jasmine a sugar baby to a depressed old man from Michigan that she is now begging to have sex with her. It just doesn't get any more effed up than that. It just doesn't. And when they ask Gino, remember when back in the season, Gino was asked, or when she found out that he was using sugar baby websites, and that whole thing now makes no sense, because if they met on a sugar baby website, what was with that whole scene, like her finding out that he used sugar baby websites, if that's where they met? What? Like, this whole shit is just like, shit. It's just shit. The whole thing is like a made up crap, right? When Gino was asked how many sugar baby dates he went on, and he said, oh, it was just dinner. It was just a couple. Turns out it was more like 30. 30. That's not a few dates, guys. That's a way of life. That's how this depressed old man from Michigan found that he could get women to pay attention to him, was to give them money. And when they're talking about that on the tell-all, there's Mike sitting behind them laughing. Gino had to use a sugar baby website. Gino, that's so terrible. Mike's is worse. Mike's situation, the only person who could be worse than Gino is making fun of Gino, because we all know what happened with Mike, but I'm not going to jump out of Gino and Jasmine yet. Let me finish this off. And nobody said anything to Jasmine about, hey, wait a second. You got all fired up about how he used to use sugar babies, and you were one. You are one. That's how he found you. So I'm confused. Like, this whole tell-all made me go, okay, so let's go back to that scene where she flips out. They have that big fight. And as it turns out, that was all for drama. That was all for drama. Nothing on this show is worthy of being believed. Nothing. Because if she can be pissed at him, supposedly pissed at him, for using sugar babies when that's where they met, it's kind of like Mike and Ximena. You know, oh, he tells this big story about how they were so, he was so surprised and he felt so great when he swiped right on Ximena on Tinder, and they got a match. He found that she swiped right too, when none of that shit actually happened. They met on a cam girl website. Ximena was a cam girl, as we found out last week or something, when she broke up with him, and she says to the camera, that's how we met. He doesn't want anybody to know that's how we met, but we met on a cam girl website. That was my job. And he offered to pay all of my expenses if I quit my job. So having said that, I'm moving on to Mike and Ximena. At the end of this episode, so they showed the final episode of the season and then went right into the finale, right? So Mike, when he's begging Ximena, he's behaving badly and begging Ximena, can he come back in the morning? After he's done calling her names, can he come back in the morning to say goodbye to the kids? Can he come back and say goodbye to the family because they were so nice to him? Dude, he's full of shit. Completely full of shit. He feels like him crawling back in the morning is his last chance to try and get Ximena to not break up with him. Like, this dude is literally begging her. Begging her.
Oh, okay, I still want to pay your rent. I still want to pay your bills.
And she's like, I don't want your money. But he has the actual colossal nuts to talk about how she's using him for his money. Dude, you ain't rich. And I think I said it before in one of my other videos. What else could she possibly want from that little cockroach? And so in the tell-all, Mike says that they're back together. And I'm like literally screaming at the TV. I'm screaming because I'm like, what? How could you go? Oh my God, why? Why? You can't stand the room. You can't stand to breathe the same air. But you got back together with him? Why? Well, okay. So fine. So she decided to take him back because he would keep paying the bills. But in this teeny little weeny bit of clip that we get from part 2 of the tell-all, she says that, or Ximena says that he knows I don't love him. Like, I don't love him and he knows it. And then she finally says, you know what? I'm done. This is over. We're finished. We're done. And she takes off her mic and everything else. Now, I don't know if this is like a teaser clip, like she doesn't actually do that. But on the clip, she takes off her mic, she says, we're done, and she disappears. So I'm just feeling like, this dude, he wants to keep paying her rent, keep paying her bills, and he wants to go back to Colombia in September and marry her, knowing that she's only taking him back because he's paying her bills. So nobody can tell me. I don't want to hear any of, and it's usually the men who go,
well, she's only with him because he's paying her bills.
How about he only wants her because he can manipulate her by paying her bills, right? God forbid this poor girl. And yeah, I see her as a poor girl. I see her as someone who needed the help and took it because she didn't know what kind of a demon she was dealing with. But God forbid, can you imagine if she married him? Can you imagine? She would be stuck for life. Jeez, crow. I can't imagine a worse decision than to marry the cockroach. I can't imagine. Anyways, we've all seen the pictures. She's with someone else now. Honestly, I'm happy for her. I'm happy for her. I don't care that she was using him for his money. He was using her for sex. He was using her for a certain type of clout. Maybe not social media clout, although he got that too. But he was using her for clout. He could turn to the camera and say,
guess you got lucky.
Ew. Disgusting. I can imagine. This woman must want to shower and bleach. I would want to shower and bleach if I were her. He is gross. And none of the men are seeing that. All the men are saying, well, she used him for his money. She used him for his money. And he used her for her body. And I feel like he owes her. He owes her. Even after everything, all the money and the stuff that he gave her, he still owes her. Because the woman must have nightmares. She has to have nightmares. Anyways, let's move on to Usman and Kim. So, in the last episode, when Kim left for the airport, Kim probably wasn't even on the plane yet, and Usman went back to his hotel or went home or wherever it is that he went and called Zara. Remember Zara? The woman that he wrote the song to and about, who, when he claimed that Zara was a metaphor for all women, and Zara was actually an actual human being that he was in love with, he admits to being in love with. Well, he went back and called Zara. I'm surprised that this woman even took his call. I'm surprised. But clearly he's still in love with Zara because the body language, you don't even need to hear the words. If you watch his body language, he's clearly still smitten with this woman, and it wouldn't be. She's cute. And you put her and Kimberly beside, there's just no comparison. I'm sorry, there's no comparison. But leave it to Sean Robinson to let that cat out of the bag on camera, telling Kimberly that when she left, Usman turned around and called Zara. FaceTime yet, not just like regular. He had to FaceTime her. So they spoke and they talked about, he asked her what she misses about him. Who asked that question? And she admits that, yeah, I do miss you, and I miss, you were my best friend, and we had some good times. We had a lot of laughs. But he says that he's trying to make a decision. He's trying to decide whether or not he wants to be with Zara or he wants to be with Kimberly. Now, here's my thinking, okay? Stay with me here. Remember at the beginning of the season when Kimberly said Kimbali said that she would be okay with Usman marrying someone else so that he could have kids and she'd still be with him? Or did she say that he could be with someone else so that he could have kids? I can't see Usman in his culture having kids with someone out of wedlock, so he would have to marry someone else so that he could have kids, right? And Kimberly would stay with him. So how is she so pissed that he's still talking to Zara? Because clearly Zara is what, 26? She can still have kids. Why do I feel like somewhere in the back of Usman's twisted conscience, he feels like he could marry Zara and have kids with her and still keep Kimberly on the side for God knows what. I don't know. Money, gifts, PS5 games. I don't know. Whatever. I'm feeling like, you know what? He thinks he's getting the best of both worlds, right? So, Kim, you put yourself in that boat. You put yourself in that boat when he called you a potential. You got up and you jumped on a plane, took it halfway across the world to visit him, knowing that you're not in a relationship with this guy, but feeling kind of like Mike. If you bring him enough stuff and you push him and you badger him and you bully him enough, you'll get into a relationship with him. Girl, that's not a relationship. That's not a relationship. That's called manipulation. And you're no better than Mike. And her son seems like he has a good head on his shoulders. Why this young man isn't telling his mother she shouldn't have gotten into this in the first place, I don't know. Because there's no way I would ever, let my mother do this shit and embarrass herself on TV. She also says, Kim says, like when she finds out that Usman called Zara, she says, this is humiliating. You've been humiliating yourself this entire season. You have been humiliating yourself and letting this man humiliate you for the last, 15 weeks, 14 weeks, however many episodes we're talking about. You have been humiliated on each and every one of them. And her son isn't going to say, listen, this whole season was one big embarrassment. Like the secondhand embarrassment. I'm not even related to her and I'm embarrassed. How on earth she thinks that him calling Zara is humiliating? Don't know. Sweetheart, laying next to a man and begging him to have sex with you, that is the ultimate humiliation. I don't know how you think the Zara thing is a thing, because it ain't. You already embarrassed yourself. So she finds out that he called Zara and she gets up and she leaves. I'm sorry, the dramatics. When she's crying, he called Zara. He refused to have sex with you. He refused to kiss you. He refused to do anything with you. He refused. You know why? Because he doesn't want you. It's that simple. Close the door, move on. Go find someone who wants to date you. Go find someone your own age who wants to date you. This is not the one. I gotta go back for a second. Every time, am I the only one who notices that every time Kim starts to cry, Usman says, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. I hate that. Hate it. Granted, she a dummy, but that whole don't cry business pissed me off. Stop telling the woman not to cry. If she wants to cry, she can cry. You're not her father. You ain't her son. You're young enough to be her son, but don't tell her not to cry. It's rude. And last but not least, let's talk about Memphis and Hamza. Like I said, we spent the whole season dogging Memphis, mostly Memphis. But I gotta say, that Memphis, she actually cleans up pretty good. She looked really good on the tell-all. She looked really good. Love the cute short hair. The dress was super cute on her. They are the only two who look like and behave like, at this point, a normal couple. As normal gets, right? A normal couple. They got married, had a baby, living their life, clearly because Hamza was actually physically in the studio, not on a screen. I think it would have been cool if they had him on a screen at first and then had him walk out, right? when Sean says, somebody's here, somebody actually made it here, and he walks out from the back, they should have put him on a screen first so that we would think that he didn't make it to the US and then had him walk out from the back of the studio. That would have been cool, but clearly nobody was thinking about that. They was too busy thinking about making frickin' Jasmine bitch about Gino being a sugar daddy when he was her sugar daddy. Can you tell? I'm really pissed about that still. Anyway, Memphis and Hamza had a baby, got married, had a baby. Apparently, he moved to Michigan. Why all these people are from Michigan, I do not know. But there's not a lot to say about them except for they both look great. They kept their mouths shut for the most part. Sean didn't speak to them about their marriage or their life or their baby or anything else like that. So I'm guessing that maybe on part 2 of the tell-all, we'll get into that. But yeah, Memphis and Hamza look great. And they seem normal. But like I said, part 2 will tell. Anywho, that's all I've got for 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days Tell-All Part 1. Again, and as usual, thank you so much for watching. Can you tell, you've probably noticed I'm having an issue keeping up with recording schedule. So I might reduce that schedule from, like, I remember when I started this channel, I was uploading a video probably every other day and sometimes twice a day. But now it's getting to be a bit much. So I'm gonna try and stick to a twice a week schedule. It might be once a week. I'm hoping that I can stick to a twice a week schedule, but I so appreciate your attention. I appreciate your support. I never thought that I started this channel a year ago and never thought I would still be here. Kind of thought I would be too terrified to keep recording. But yeah, I actually love doing this. So for those of you who are still here and are subscribed, thank you so much. I really do appreciate your support. Some of you are very verbal about your support, and God, I love you to death. I really do. Anyways, again, and as usual, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.